Now, the other thing I wanted to comment on with regard to Europe is this, and that is that in the era of the Cold War, which, by the way, I've been covering in my discussion of my Reagan book, there was Eastern Europe and there was Western Europe. And Eastern Europe was in the communist orbit. Countries like Czechoslovakia, Romania, Poland, these were de facto under Soviet control, Hungary, and so on. Western Europe was Britain, France, Germany, meaning West Germany. The capital, in fact, of Germany was not Berlin, as it is now. It was Bonn, which was in West Germany. Berlin was on the East German side. But in many ways, if you fast forward from then to now, then, in the past, Western Europe was seen as modern, developed, and Eastern Europe was seen as Soviet, which is to say static. Nothing happens in Eastern Europe. And the Eastern European model was believed by many to be an extension of the Soviet model and therefore intellectually and operationally bankrupt. Western Europe was seen more as part of the forward thrust, along with the United States, of development and of progress. But how different things seem today. And by this I mean, it's almost as if the two Europes, Eastern and Western Europe, have exchanged places. Look at Western Europe now. The model seems to be decadent, morally, socially, institutionally. State services are uniformly bad. Social trust has disintegrated. Western Europe is run by these elites that meet in Brussels. They seem disconnected from the population. They treat popular opinion as a nuisance that needs to be suppressed. There's all kinds of corruption, and much of it now is not even that hidden. It's like institutionalized, it's formalized, you can see it, but people feel they can do nothing about it. You seem to have an independent media, but it's not independent at all. It seems to be an extension of the managerial bureaucracy. The media essentially is a form of propaganda. And even elections in Europe, Great Britain has Brexit, but they do not in fact exit from the EU. There's a kind of partial exit, and even that appears to be somewhat questionable. So people vote for things, and yet nothing changes. And or the candidates that they vote for are somehow sidelined, or they're declared ineligible to run, or the election itself is postponed or canceled. And meanwhile, in Eastern Europe, you begin to see not the full development of vitality yet, but Eastern Europe is doing in many ways better than Western Europe. Look at a country like Poland, for example, or like Hungary. Here you seem to have more impressive economic development. These countries are coming up. Now, they're not as rich as France or Germany or England, but the way to look at these societies, and it's not just in terms of like who's better off, because there's no question that Western Europe got a massive head start. The question to ask is who is ascending and who is descending. You know, you look, for example, when you're looking at escalators at an airport, one escalator is ascending, it's coming up. The other escalator is descending, you go on it when you want to go down. I would argue that Western Europe, by and large, is descending. It's on its way down, it's on its way out. But Eastern Europe is ascending, and that is not something that one would have expected, and yet it is something that is occurring.